Hello, Divine. It's Carlos Renee, your sacred healer and spiritual life coach. I wanted to come on today and talk about loss with you, talk about loss and grieving and caretaking, right? And the reason I want to talk to you about these things is because I'm going through that right now, right? With my father. Anyone who knows me knows that I'm a daddy's girl from the womb to the tomb, right? My father he has stage 4 gastric stomach cancer, and he's in the last stages of that, right? And in fact, yesterday we was his first day in hospice. So this is a thing, caretaking. Okay, let me back up a little bit. So, okay, I've been all over the place for this whole month, right? Because while I'm going through a huge transformation in my life, new beginnings and all of these things happening, this is also the thing that is most pressing, one of those things that's most pressing in my life right now. And I found myself last week, going back into the behaviors that I used to have before I started to heal, the self-sacrificing, the taking on everything, the people-pleasing, taking on everything to my own detriment, right? Just because out of obligation, out of duty, I am the youngest of 3. However, I am the primary caregiver for my father. And I have a family, and I have, a business, and I have, a lot of things which you will learn about later. I can't really discuss them now, but there will come a time for that. And it kind of feels like everything all at once, right? But it's all about perception, right? Caretaking is an extremely, extremely overwhelming job that requires all of your energy, right? And if you're doing that on a consistent basis, it's easy to lose yourself. But what I will say is, if you are a caregiver and you are finding yourself in that place, being a caregiver to someone and still trying to maintain your life, this is what I had to do. Once I realized what I was doing, I had to take a step back, and I had to start creating boundaries. Because even I know that my father needs me, right? I know that, but I also know that I'm needed elsewhere, and I also know that I need me as well, right? So I had to start putting up boundaries, because what happens with me is if too much is coming to me at once and I'm being hit everywhere, I drop everything and take a step back until I'm confident and know which direction I want to go in, right? And that's exactly what happened this week. I had to take a step back. I kind of just shut down, and had to take a step back to regroup, right? And I realized, hold up, you're forgetting one major important person. Her needs to be nurtured. Her needs to be loved. Her needs to be first. No matter what, her needs to be first. God has everything else. And I kind of felt like I was being tested in some way, right? Because the way you'll find that once you begin healing and releasing things, when you try to go back to that thing, the energy of that thing no longer is there. So I was actually trying to pull up old coping mechanisms that I would used to use to help me get through things, and I could not. Those no longer worked. So I couldn't call on those things anymore, right? Whatever they are, we all have different coping mechanisms, right? So I was trying to call on those no longer worked. But it just got me to thinking, like, I know what this is, right? But I'm finding that throughout this whole process that I have to remember to give myself grace, because, and only do what I am able, what it is within my power to do, right? Nothing more, nothing less. No one's ever calling you. You're not anyone's savior. I had to remember that. I am not your savior. And that's, I'm not saying that to you. I'm just saying I'm not your savior. I am only, I can help you to the extent that, to my capacity with whatever I have within me. That's it, nothing more, nothing less. At first, I was feeling a little guilty about that because it's like, oh gosh, it's my dad. Of course, we've had these conversations. We used to joke about them when I was young. He would be like, oh, I'll be in a home and you're going to be, making me eat peas and blah, blah, blah. And this is God's grace, though. In my healing journey, I started to heal aspects of me that were fractured from my inner relationship with my dad. And I realized that I could no longer look at him through my child ego eyes. I had to release the fantasy around my father on who he was. And I had to accept him. And I could only see him now in truth to who he is with my adult, my grown woman eyes. So, and in that process, right before he got sick, a year before, we were not speaking because there was a lot of healing going on, and that was my decision. Well, that was both of our decision. I don't want to get into all of that, but I'm just saying that for whatever reason that was the case. And then, we came back around to each other, but the relationship is different. And I'm so thankful that God allowed for that to happen. God prepared me for this time way years and years and years before it actually arrived. 5 years ago, I used to have these repeating dreams about my father being at his funeral. I would be speaking at his funeral and I would be crying. I would be crying for days. For days, I would be sad. I'd pray, like, why am I having these thoughts? And I didn't know, because I was awakened to my gifts at that time. I didn't know that those were actual, visions that I was having around the situation. But it's like I grieved during that time. So that now that he's bringing me into the real thing, the actual event, he's already healed me around it. So to the point where I can only be a support, a loving support, in control, or, in harmony to my dad. I can only be that for him now. Right. And I'm so thankful, because I would have been a blubbering mess had this hit me out of the blue and I wasn't prepared for it. My life would be, oh my gosh, I can only imagine how emotional I would be. But I have not been emotional like that at all. Like it's only been a calm, and I know it's only God's grace, but the only thing I have felt is a calm knowing, a calm comforting. Do you know what I mean? That everything is okay. My guides have been speaking to me throughout. I know exactly what this is, and I'm prepared. This is why awareness is so important. This is why awareness is so important when and on this journey, because you need to know when and how God is communicating with you. You need to know when and how your spirit guides, the universe is opening up to you and ushering you and guiding you and leading you. Do you know what I mean? And protecting you. You need to know how to identify when that's happening. It's important. And give gratitude and thanks for it. And I'm so thankful. I am so thankful to be in this place right now, even though I'm in the process of, I'm not going to say lose. I'm in the process of ushering my father into that next phase of his spirit's evolution, right? And I'm thankful to be able to do that from such a healed state, right? So that anything that is left to be said, it's like everything is with ease. So if you're going through and I have good and bad days. Some days I'm empowered and I'm like, I can do this. And other days I'm just that little girl again, missing her father. Do you know what I mean? Give yourself grace on those days. If you're going through a loss of someone, or if you're going through, a let go of some kind, give yourself grace and Caretaking does not mean self-sacrificing. Caretaking does not mean them over you. Caretaking means you first so that you can be your best empowered self, nurtured self, whole self to take care of that person whom you need to take care of. But it can easily be an energy vulture if you allow it to be. Don't allow it to be. You know what I mean? You are not obligated to anyone but yourself. If you lose yourself, then what is everyone else going to do? What will they do without you? What will they do without you? Do you know what I mean? If you're that, I always say there's one in every family, right? There's always that one strong individual in every family that sort of anchors, um, anchors that solid foundation, that support, that change, that transformation that is needed within that family. It only takes one. It only takes one, right? So if that is you, if you are that person in your family, give yourself love. Give love to yourself first. Give acknowledgement, grace, mercy, peace, kindness, and patience to yourself first before you give it to anyone else, even your children, okay? You need that first. You are the vessel. You are the light. You are the one who, if you're finding this message and this is resonating with you, then you're like me. So you're my tribe. So all of this, I'm speaking to you the same things I would be speaking to myself, and the same things that have helped myself. Yesterday and the day before, I was on my arse, on my tail, because I was just like, I don't know what to do. I was just like, I can't do this. I had a breakdown, and I was just like, God, why is all of this happening to me right now? Why is this all? I can't, I was feeling guilty on, not being able to do more and be more. And it's like, hold on. You forgot. Let's back it up a bit. You're forgetting who you are, first of all, right? So everything and all things unto yourself first. It's the most selfless thing that you can do. And caretaking, thank God for it. Thank God for, the energy for you to be that to someone. And if you're dealing, with grief or in grief, give yourself patience, give yourself love, give yourself grace, give yourself kindness, and give yourself time. Do you know what I mean? There's no end game to this. There is no, ooh, you're supposed to get over it right then. No. It takes as long as it takes. It lasts as long as it lasts. Do you know what I mean? Suspend time from all things and understand that you are the time and all we have is the present. Okay? All right. I hope that this somehow helped you. It really helped me talking about it. It really helped me talking about it, because I remember making a video about my dad like a year ago. And listen, my dad has been, he's just, yeah, he's been a huge influence on my life. And at one time I felt, and I still feel, that he's, the only best friend that I ever have. He's the only other being in this world who truly want me to be better than they are. Okay? And that's saying a lot. Do you know what I mean? So I hope that this helped you, and know that if you are grieving, that allow for the grief in prayer, meditate, spend time with yourself, journal. And if you are caretaking, journal about your caretaking, because in that journaling about your caretaking, you'll uncover gems about yourself that you did not know. Okay, that's the best way to connect to yourself while you're in the midst of caretaking or grieving. That's the best time. Okay. All right. I hope that this video finds you with light and love. And I hope that you have an amazing week. And I want you to know that I love you, that you are special, that you are worthy of love. Okay? Lots of light and love. Mwah.